everyone, welcome back. So, I can't believe we're still having this conversation. I honestly, I can't fathom it. And I might get a little bit loud, I might get a little bit angry in this video because the Senators are a team that since I started this channel, I have began to really like. I have liked watching them build this core up to what should be a playoff team, but there's one underlying problem, and it's honestly the coach. I don't think there's any problems with this roster on paper. I don't think there's any other issues with this roster whatsoever. I think it honestly might be the coach. Honestly, I feel like it all lies on DJ Smith, and I'm not gonna try and be like lean right on the side of DJ Smith, but Sens fans have been calling for his name for so long. It's been 2 years now, pretty much, where they have been saying that Smith should be fired. And it's crazy how even though like this team's gone through the rebuild, he is the fifth longest tenured coach in NHL history. Like that, or not in NHL history, currently in the NHL. That is just insane to me. And I'm going to mention off a bunch of names here in a little bit of all the coaches that have been fired since DJ Smith became a coach. And it's an unbelievable amount of coaches. So anyways, we'll get into it here first off. So currently, they're 11-13-0 for 22 points. They are 29th in the NHL overall. And they're last in the Eastern Conference. And they're last in the East by about 5 points. They do have plenty of games in hand on these other teams. However, their schedule and the way they're playing overall kind of tells me that really isn't going to matter. It's not. So last night they had an awful performance last night against St. Louis. That was an awful effort. Looked like the team didn't care. It looked like they were just lazy out there on the ice. And, that's on the coach. That's not just on the players, it's on the coach. Now, I understand that with that, the players do need to take some accountability. I will admit to that. They do need to take some accountability, and they are the reason why. They are part of the reason why this team struggled. But I feel like in a lot of scenarios, it's the coach. Like, you need to get your momentum right. Like, you need to bounce back from an absolute horrible game in Carolina, a very emotional game at that, but you don't. You go into St. Louis and look like even worse? And I don't even want to know what Dallas is going to look like tonight. Thankfully, I won't be watching that. That game will probably be completed by the time this video gets uploaded or when you see this video. But, oh man, if they win that is like a game that like is why DJ Smith's still here. Because there are a few factors into that. Because they're 11-13-0. And like that's not terrible. Like that's not like it's not great, but it's not terrible either. Like it's not a horrible stat line. And I think that Staios, and there's a lot going on with them right now. With Andlauer, I understand that the Sens fans are angry, but with Staios, he's trying to find the new GM. And that's what he's trying to do. And I understand that like you don't want to fire the coach and be looking for a coach and a GM at the same time, but still, this is honestly getting ridiculous. It is actually ridiculous. Now, again, there are a few factors that play into their struggles. The global series did too, and as well as that too, like they had multiple breaks in November. Like they would have a game, then a 5-day break. Then they'd have a game, then a week-long break. Then they'd have a game, then the global series, then another 5-day break. They barely played in the month of November. And it's funny because I have a friend of mine who is a close Sens fan, and I was making jokes to him all November, like, you guys are so bad in November that they gave you November off, basically. And, December is usually one of the better months for them, but they're 2-4. And they're only going to get worse, in my opinion. They play Dallas, they play Vegas. They're going on this West Coast road trip where they're facing a lot of really good hockey teams in the coming week. So it's not going to get better. It simply isn't. It's not going to get better for the Senators. They're 8-9 at home too. The home record's always been good. It's concerning that it's almost 500, but it's not that great overall. It's just there's so much concern right now with this team that I'm genuinely like worried that after this season there may be some players who say, yeah, I mean like we haven't won. I know we're rebuilding, but it's like year 6 of this. I can't take this anymore. So that is very possible. And honestly, too, I was thinking before I made this video, it might be too late. for them to make a turnaround here. Yes, they're 11, 13 and 0, but it might be too late. Like, they're already in a big hole as it is. December is going to be really difficult for them. Unless if they fire Smith and they get some kind of momentum like Woodcroft or, like Evison or Berube even gave out. I don't see them really turning this around. Now, the roster I don't think is the problem. And I said that at the beginning of the video, but we're going to get into it here. So, Tim Stutzla, 24 games played this season, 6 goals, 20 assists, 26 points. He's the leading scorer, having himself not as good of a year as last year, but still doing very well. Then you got Claude Giroux, 24 games played, 9 goals, 14 assists, 23 points. Again, not having as good of a year as he did last year because, he's getting old and that happens. Drake Batherson, 24 games played, 8 goals, 12 assists, 14 points. Brady Tkachuk, 4th in scoring, 24 games played, 13 goals, 6 assists, 19 points. And then Vladimir Tarasenko, 24 games played, 6 goals, 13 assists for 19 points. So yeah, I don't think it's the offense that's the issue. I don't think it's the defense that's the issue either. I think this roster is built very well. And I give credit to Pierre Dorian for that, even though, he got fired for all the Dadonov reasons and all that. I still think that he did a pretty good job at building a solid Sens roster. I think if you put this Sens roster on any other team, let's say you put it on Edmonton or any other roster in the NHL, I think that without Smith, I think they do well. I think this is a pretty well-built team overall. And I don't really see a reason why they shouldn't be in the playoffs. They have great offense. They have good depth. They have good defense. The goaltending has been a little bit iffy, and that's the only thing I'll give DJ an exemption for. The goaltending's been a little bit iffy. Korpisalo, 6-8, 3.33 goals against average, and a .898 save percentage. Yes, that plays a factor with me in the reason why the team hasn't been very good. The goaltending hasn't been great either. But just you got to realize at some point, and I understand again too, I mentioned this earlier in the video, I understand that they don't want to fire the coach and be looking for a coach and the GM at the same time. But, this is utterly ridiculous. So, I looked at, longest tenure coaches and all this. And the longest tenure coaches are teams that are consistent playoff teams, even now. Like Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Los Angeles. Those are a few of them. There's I think there's 2 more. But, those are the teams that are more they're consistent playoff teams. DJ Smith is the longest tenure coach for a team that hasn't made the playoffs since he came in. He came in 2019. They haven't made the playoffs once. He's been here for, 4 years? 5 years at this point? So, when do you realize that maybe you need to make a coaching change? And so many other teams have since then. There are multiple other teams that have had at least 2 coaches run through their system before Smith's gotten fired. Edmonton, prime example. They ran through They ran through Tippett and they ran through Woodcroft. And Noblock now, I guess, since Woodcroft's come to town. Philadelphia, Vigneault, Tortorella, and Yeo. That's 3. It's insane how, they don't realize that, maybe to turn momentum around, you fire the coach. And I'm going to mention off a bunch of names here. I looked today during my 3rd period class, and I found you can't really see it, but I found all of the list of coaches who have been fired since DJ Smith became the coach of the Ottawa Senators, okay? Now, a lot of the time, from 2019 to 2021, I don't really think there were any chance to fire DJ because you were obviously rebuilding. The team wasn't great. But 21-22 and 22-23 were the 2 seasons where it was really the cries of the DJ Smith. And obviously this year too, but more or less those past 3 years have been when they've chanted for Smith to be fired. And a lot of these coaches were fired during that time, but I did get some of them from before that. So anyways, we'll get into it here. So starting off, Barry Trotz, John Tortorella, Jeff Blashill, Ralph Kruger, Dallas Eakins, Daryl Sutter, Jay Woodcroft, Dave Tippett, Elaine Vigneault, Dean Evison, John Hines, twice, by the way, Peter Laviolette, Gerard Gallant, Bruce Cassidy, Mike Babcock, twice, by the way, Todd Reardon, Dominic Ducharme, Rick Tocchet, Bruce Boudreau, Craig Berube, Joel Quenneville, Pete DeBoer, Rick Bowness, David Quinn, and Paul Maurice. That is literally 20 coaches who have been fired. That I don't understand how you see that. You see Edmonton go down into a really deep hole this year. They're now 1 point out of a playoff spot. You see Minnesota go down into a deep hole that year. They haven't pulled themselves out of it yet, but they're definitely getting there. You see St. Louis fire their coach, and they come in the next night and kick your ass. When do you realize that it's not the roster and it's the coach? Just like it's another season too, and I'm wondering to the point where Arsene's going to start boycotting games. Genuinely, are they going to start boycotting games? They've already heard plenty of fire DJ Smith chants. The players have come out and spoke against it, but that's really not doing anything. Just like I don't know. Honestly, I cannot see, and I've said this in videos before, I cannot see this team doing anything without DJ Smith being fired. And the funny thing is too, I made this video last year too. I made this pretty much exact same video last year. And I said, should the Sens fire DJ Smith? And most of the comments were yes. And back then I was more passive, I was more calm about it because I figured at the end of the year or during the year they would. But he's still here. And I understand there has been so much stuff going on with this Sens team, the ownership, the GM search, Dorian being fired, all of the other stuff that's gone on behind the scenes, Melnick and all that stuff. But still, like, when do you realize that the on-ice product is because of the coach? And when do you realize that, maybe instead of trying to tweak the roster through the players, maybe you should go through the coach? And the funny thing is, too, like, we always say the opposite thing. We always say that, like, I remember when the Flyers fired Alain Vigneault. I didn't think it was Vigneault's fault. I really didn't think that, the situation that happened in Philadelphia was Vigneault's fault. I thought that it lied on the players and it lied on Chuck Fletcher. But with Ottawa, it's the other way around. Oh, it's the players' fault. It's the players that we drafted, that we traded for, that we built this team with. It's their fault. So, like, honestly, like, I don't really know what to say. Like, because, like, I feel like if they keep struggling like this, maybe Ottawa looks and says, maybe we should trade someone. Maybe we should trade someone big. Maybe that's the problem. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm really wrong here. Maybe I look at this team and I think that, firing the coach is going to solve it. Maybe not. Maybe we fire DJ and then the core is still the problem. I will take that. That's on me. But I still think that the problem is DJ Smith. Like, I don't understand how you've been through so many coaches that you don't at least give another one a shot. Like, you've seen Smith, the way he coaches, the guys he brings in, just, I don't know. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. I got to go to a hockey game. So, thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, down below. I really appreciate it. You can tell that I am upset about this, even though I'm not a Sens fan. I am not a Sens fan whatsoever. I come on here trying to be as unbiased as possible. But, when you're talking about a team like this, where it's a problem that's within the organization, it does tend to piss me off a little bit when you can tell that the fans are upset, the management's upset, the players seem to be upset, and you still won't do something about it. And the funny thing is, too, is Lauer said that this is the fans' team. Doesn't really feel like the fans' team. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.